You're under arrest for DUI.
But I did everything that you asked me to, right?
You did everything that I asked you to, but...
I'll do everything. Sir, I'm from Switzerland. I can't have a DUI. I literally stopped when I have somebody pick me up.
You're not even supposed to be driving in the first place. You have 5 different suspensions on your license. I'm gonna...
I promise I'll have somebody pick me up and drive me home. I promise.
I'm gonna show you a little bit of decency and cover you up a little bit. You don't want to go into jail looking like that.
Please.
Number 4. A Hooters waitress named Sarah found herself entangled in a complex and challenging encounter with law enforcement officers one fateful night.
Friend's house.
Your friend's house? You had any drinks?
A couple.
Couple? Alright, you sit tight for me, okay?
Sarah had just finished her shift at the local Hooters restaurant and was on her way to pick up a friend in Northport, not suspecting that her evening would take such an unexpected turn. As she drove along Toledo Blade, Sarah's vehicle came to a stop at a busy intersection, albeit in a rather unconventional and conspicuous manner. Unbeknownst to her, she had inadvertently positioned her car beyond the crosswalk, right in the middle of the intersection. It was a situation that drew the attention of vigilant officers patrolling the area. Upon stopping her, the officers ran a routine check on Sarah's driver's license, only to discover that it had been suspended.
Hey man, just sit tight for me here, and then I'll be right back, okay?
The revelation was met with genuine surprise from Sarah, who appeared to be taken aback by this unexpected development. To compound matters, it was also revealed that the tags on her vehicle had expired several months prior, adding another layer of complexity to her already precarious situation. Despite her insistence that she hadn't consumed any alcohol that evening,
you had any drinks?
A couple.
Couple?
The officers decided to conduct a series of field sobriety tests to determine her level of impairment.
Put your feet together, hands down at your sides. Stay in that position until I tell you to move, okay? All right. Any head injuries?
Nope.
No head injuries, no traumatic brain injury or anything like that?
Sarah, dressed in her Hooters uniform, was clearly distressed as she went through these tests. Her bloodshot eyes and slurred speech raised concerns about her ability to safely operate a motor vehicle. Throughout the ordeal, Sarah pleaded with the officers, emphasizing her Swiss origin and expressing her deep fear of potential consequences, including deportation, if she were charged with a DUI. She assured them that she was willing to leave her car behind and arrange for someone to pick her up. However, despite her earnest pleas and promises, the officers explained that their decision to proceed with the arrest was based on the evidence collected during the field sobriety tests, which indicated impairment. Sarah's hope for an exception was met with understanding but ultimately denied, as the officers were bound by protocol and the evidence they had gathered. As the incident unfolded, the officers discovered open containers in Sarah's vehicle, further complicating the situation. They assured her that her car would be secured properly and that she would have the opportunity to retrieve her personal belongings, including her phone. When she arrived at the police station, Sarah, still in her Hooters uniform, was taken into custody and transported to the police station for processing. Her distress and fear were palpable throughout the encounter, as she contemplated the potential consequences of this unexpected turn of events. In the end, Sarah was reminded that the legal process would unfold, and she would have an opportunity to address her charges through the appropriate channels. As she sat in the police car, she couldn't help but reflect on the twists and turns that had led her from a Hooters waitress's uniform to this challenging night with the law. Number 3. On April 7, 2021, Officer Alvina of the New Mexico State Police made a routine traffic stop that escalated into a series of events no one could have predicted. A young woman named Kaylee found herself in a situation that would change the course of her evening.
Pop the trunk and get out of the vehicle, please. There's like beer in the back, I think. Yes.
The incident began when Officer Alvina stopped a vehicle for speeding along a quiet stretch of road.
Are you in the military?
Yeah.
You are?
Well, no, my parents are. They both are military, sir.
Inside the car were several young individuals, including Kaylee, who had been out for the evening. Officer Alvina soon discovered that there was a considerable amount of alcohol in the vehicle, which immediately raised concerns. Despite his initial intent to issue tickets for the open containers and minors in possession of alcohol charges, Officer Alvina found himself faced with a challenging situation.
You guys can drive, there's alcohol in the car, and you guys work.
But how do you know that we're drunk? It's empty can.
Kaylee, one of the occupants, began to argue and display a level of disrespect that escalated the tension. Her behavior led to her eventual arrest, an outcome Officer Alvina had hoped to avoid. As the events unfolded, Kaylee's emotional state took a dramatic turn. In the back seat of the police car, she experienced a mental breakdown, expressing a desire to harm herself. This alarming development prompted Officer Alvina to take immediate action to ensure her safety, even as he grappled with the difficult decision he had made. Officer Alvina, while firm in his decision to arrest Kaylee due to her disrespectful behavior and the alcohol-related charges, remained deeply concerned for her well-being. He called for medical assistance as Kaylee's behavior became increasingly erratic. Amid the chaos and emotional turmoil, Kaylee's mother was contacted. She, like Officer Alvina, was concerned for her daughter's safety and well-being.
Handcuffs are not even doing anything, Mom. I didn't do anything, Mom.
Kaylee, you need to be quiet. You should have listened to him.
No, but Mom, I'm putting handcuffs and I did nothing, Mom. Please, I don't know what I did. Mom, does he have the right to put me in handcuffs when I said nothing insulting to the police officer and I did nothing wrong?
The young woman's outburst had taken everyone by surprise, and her mother struggled to comprehend the events that had unfolded. Ultimately, Kaylee was taken into custody and transported to the Las Cruces County Detention Center. While the charges against her remained the same, the emotional toll of the evening weighed heavily on all involved. Officer Alvina, as well as Kaylee's mother, understood the gravity of the situation, and both hoped for a resolution that would lead to the young woman's safety and well-being. Number 2. On a typical evening in Orlando, Officer Hall, a seasoned specialist in DUI cases, was patrolling the city's streets. The night air was calm, and the city buzzed with late-night activities. However, one incident would soon shift the mood from festive to serious. As Officer Hall navigated his patrol car down Orange Avenue, he noticed an unusual occurrence, an approaching vehicle traveling in the wrong direction on a one-way street. Swiftly, he positioned his vehicle to block the path of the wayward driver, signaling her to stop. The driver, a young woman named Sarah, looked perplexed as she observed the flashing red and blue lights behind her. Approaching Sarah's car, Officer Hall introduced himself and calmly explained the reason for the stop. Sarah, her voice trembling slightly, admitted her mistake.
I was just picking up my friend from Northport.
Okay.
Attributing it to her misunderstanding of Orange Avenue's traffic rules. Officer Hall couldn't help but notice that her eyes held the telltale signs of a night out. Suspecting the possibility of driving under the influence, Officer Hall conducted a series of field sobriety tests to assess Sarah's condition.
Okay? When I tell you to, and only when I tell you to, you're going to take 9 heel-to-toe steps.
Under the dimly lit street lamp, he instructed her to perform various tasks. The atmosphere remained sober and focused as Sarah attempted to follow the officer's instructions, her demeanor shifting between cooperation and unease. The minutes ticked by as Sarah counted aloud during the heel-to-toe test, her voice reflecting her growing anxiety.
I'll have somebody pick me up. Please, I'll leave my car here, like you said you would.
Officer Hall continued to maintain a professional and measured tone throughout the process, explaining each step in detail. Sarah was then asked to estimate 30 seconds with her eyes closed. The night air grew still as she concentrated on the task. After what seemed like a substantial amount of time, she opened her eyes and quietly signaled she had completed the task. Officer Hall reminded Sarah of her rights and proceeded to ask her questions about her evening.
Suspensions on your license. You have an insurance suspension and 3 fail-to-pay traffic tickets.
Her responses, tinged with nervousness, added to the gravity of the situation. Ultimately, based on the field tests and her responses, Sarah was placed under arrest for DUI, while a citation for driving the wrong way on a one-way street was also issued. As the police car pulled away from the scene, the city's nightlife continued unabated, a stark contrast to the serious situation that had unfolded on the streets. Before moving on to the last one, have you ever been affected by a mistake that seemed small but had big effects that you didn't expect? Share your stories and reflections in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more engaging narratives and content. Number 1. It was November 4, 2022. Officer Carver and Officer Hall were patrolling a dimly lit section of the city. The night was still, and a sense of calm hung in the air, broken only by the occasional passing car. Their attention was drawn to a vehicle approaching in the wrong lanes. It was clear that the driver, a woman named Alexandra, had made a serious mistake. As they initiated a traffic stop, Alexandra seemed disoriented, her car facing the wrong direction in the westbound lanes. Cautiously, Officer Carver approached the vehicle, his tone calm and professional.
You do realize you're in the wrong lanes, right?
He inquired about her reason for being in the wrong lanes, to which Alexandra apologized, acknowledging her confusion. Officer Hall joined in the conversation, seeking further details about her whereabouts that night. Alexandra explained that she had been at a friend's house in Jupiter, dropping off her friend after a quiet evening. She revealed that she was a mother of 3 and emphasized the importance of getting home safely. However, Officer Hall's experience alerted him to the possibility of alcohol playing a role in Alexandra's driving behavior. He probed further, asking if she had consumed any alcohol that evening.
Have you been drinking? Where were you drinking at?
Alexandra admitted to having a few drinks earlier in the night, clarifying that she had been at her friend's house after her last drink. The conversation grew tense as Officer Carver requested Alexandra's driver's license. Despite the tension, Officer Hall remained composed and courteous, attempting to gather the necessary information for their investigation. Alexandra's demeanor fluctuated between fear and frustration as she realized the gravity of her situation. She expressed her concern for her 3 children at home and her desperation to get back to them. In a stern but measured tone, Officer Hall explained that Alexandra was under arrest for driving under the influence.
Explain this to you. You were at Hood Road and Central Boulevard.
I want to go through with the exercises.
I'm sorry.
He clarified that it was a traffic misdemeanor and that her children were safe. As emotions ran high, Alexandra's anger and fear became palpable. She demanded to call her husband and was given reassurance that she would be allowed to do so in due time.
I understand that. I understand you have 3 kids. Let me explain this to you.
Officer Hall continued to maintain their professionalism throughout the encounter. Despite the challenging circumstances, the officers upheld their commitment to ensuring safety on the road. Alexandra's night took an unexpected turn, serving as a poignant reminder of the importance of responsible decision-making and adherence to traffic laws.